Okay, let's talk about the funnel technique. And I know you're familiar with it if you use the TapRooT 12-step process, because this is the technique that we use to gather information. You start the funnel with the narrative. So after you build rapport, you're going to ask them for their story about what happened. And you're going to get a wide amount of information, right? Because it's wide at the top of the funnel. And you let them talk. And there are some things that you can do to keep them talking, which is another secret I'm going to tell you in a minute. But you're going to allow them to talk, and then you're going to bring it in a little tighter, and you're going to probe that narrative. So you're not going to ask them questions about things they haven't already talked about, because the point of probing a narrative is getting more information from them, from that memory. And this is how memory works. The longer you stay in the memory, the more you remember. So they're going to give you a lot of information, and then you're going to be taking notes while they're giving you this information. And then you're going to ask your questions based on the notes that you've taken, and they're going to be open-ended questions. You're not doing closed-ended questions yet. So then you get through the probe, and finally you're down at the bottom of the funnel, and you're going to close. And those are the yes-no questions. Was Tim at the toolbox talk? Yes or no? No. Yes or no questions. Those are the last things that you're tying up. And the funnel technique it works. It's the best way to get the most quantity and quality of information. Why does it work? What I just said, more quantity and quality of information. It decreases investigator bias, okay? Because we want to go in there with our opinion about what happened, but if we let the interviewee tell the story and we're only questioning based on what they have given us, then we kind of have to drop our bias. We kind of have to drop our theory of proving what we think happened and really listen in and dig into that information. The right follow-up questions get asked. You finally know what to ask because the interviewee has told you the story. And so now you can take that story and develop your questions. Secret number 4, extension techniques. Extension techniques are important because sometimes people will start to tell the story and then they'll stop. And then you're looking at each other. And then you have to, in TapRooT, we advise people to pause, 4 or 5 seconds. That can seem like an eternity when you're looking at someone and they're not saying anything. But try this. Try looking at them with expectancy. Like they're done talking. Usually when someone's talking or thinking, they're looking all around. And then when they're done talking, they just look at you. And so you just look back at them with like a pleasant face, with expectancy for a few seconds. Because you get what you expect. If you expect they're not going to say anything else, they probably aren't. But if you give off this vibe that, okay, they may give you some more information. Echo probing, this is in the 12-step interview process. It's super easy. I use it all the time in just daily life. And all it is taking the last 3 words of the last thing that someone said and repeating it back to them. I followed the procedure completely. Followed the procedure completely. You just repeat back. You repeat it back in a question form. I left the office at 5 p.m. that day. And then you're the interviewer. You say, at 5 p.m. that day? And then you just wait expectantly. This is something easy to practice in your daily conversations, just to stay engaged and be an active listener. Just repeat the last 3 words, and then the person knows that you were listening and that you're interested in knowing what happened next. Can you tell me more about that? Simple and straightforward. They stop talking. You pause for a few minutes. You waited expectantly. They still are not saying anything. Can you tell me more about that? And then let them think, because sometimes we think that people aren't talking anymore because they don't have anything left to say, but an interview is a stressful situation. So they may have more things they say. They may be thinking, they may be processing information. There's a lot of reasons why people aren't talking. So just keep that in mind. Just because somebody is not saying anything doesn't mean that they don't have any more to tell you about that situation. And along the same lines is this little phrase, and then what happened? You've stopped talking. You're still waiting for them to tell you some more information. And then what happened? Keep the conversation going. Why extension techniques work. It keeps the interviewee in memory mode. Remember what I said. Once you take the interviewee out of their memory, you're going to be really lucky to bring them back. And if you do bring them back, it's going to be on a very superficial part of the memory. It's not going to be in deep memory anymore. And you're probably not going to get any more information. It gives the interviewee permission to talk. Sometimes they don't know that they can keep on talking. Sometimes they feel like, no, he's probably tired of hearing this story. I don't even know if I'm adding value anymore. And that's when you can say, any small detail. No detail's too small. If you're still looking for that one piece of information that hasn't come out in the interview yet, you have to give them the principal role. You have to take yourself out, put them on, and let them know that they know the information, not you, and you need them to share that with you. The investigator can't control the answers when you have extension techniques, because you're not asking pointed questions. You're asking them to extend their story, and that helps them to give you more information. You're not leading them. You're not asking them a pointed question or leading. You know what a leading question is. A leading question is a question with the answer already in it. It's like, was the truck red? You're implying that the truck was red. All right. Secret number 5 is a little quick secret tip, and it's good to remember, and that's not TED. It's just an acronym, and it stands for tell, explain, describe. And those are just 3 words that are easy to use. You can put them on your interview form. Put TED on your interview form to remind you. And instead of starting a question a different way, these are ways that you can get more information because it's going to result in an open-ended question. Tell, explain, describe. Why it works? Because it's less aggressive than asking why. Because asking why is going to put someone on the defensive. It avoids leading. It avoids leading the witness and giving them part of the answer in the question. And it's open-ended, which those are good to use when you're looking for more information. TED.